Good afternoon. Welcome to the 330 Sports Show. My name is Justin Coffin. Across from me, Joe Danier. It is Thursday, January 18th, 2024. The weather is crappy outside. It's only going to get worse the next couple of days, but whatever. You know, we're here.
Whatever.
It's
That is
freaking
this
January.
Show. Whatever.
You know, the Browns lost last weekend. We're all pissed. The weather sucks. There's no spring in sight.
Fucking cheers.
We were drinking, whatever. So hopefully everyone out there is doing well. We're doing well here. It's just not our favorite time of year, especially if the Browns aren't in the playoffs and this and that. So whatever. We're here. We're gonna drink and make the best of it.
Yeah.
So
I saw that our buddy Bill Belichick might have a suitor. Probably has a job. What are your feelings about a team that you've been with for 150,000 years, and then what advantage would be to let that dude go?
I think it was just time for a change. Everybody needs a refresh here and there. Bill Belichick's probably like 72, 73, I'm guessing. He had a lot of control in that organization. He was not just the coach, but the GM, kind of ran the defense, if you want to say that too. And they still went with a defensive guy to replace him with Gerard Mayo, but you could tell it's kind of like a different direction. They're probably going to have a GM now, not Belichick picking like some terrible players. Bill Belichick is a great cook with the ingredients he has, but he's not a great purchaser of those ingredients. And I think a fresh start for him would be good.
Okay.
I saw reports out there like he wants a young team, and who knows how much of this stuff's true. A lot of it's true, a lot of it's not. It's probably somewhere in the middle, but where he wants a team that's like an underperforming, talented team. So it sounds like to me that's the Atlanta Falcons or the LA Chargers. So one of those two. I have a feeling Harbaugh. I would bet by the end of the day tomorrow, Jim Harbaugh is an NFL coach. Just my opinion. I think Bill Belichick probably finds his way to one of those teams too. Okay. So I'm really surprised the Cowboys are keeping McCarthy, and I'm really surprised the Eagles are sticking with Sirianni after those two.
You think Harbaugh will be New England?
No, I'm going to say Harbaugh will be
Atlanta,
the Chargers.
Okay,
the Chargers. That would be, and I believe those are the two teams he's interviewed with, at least reports out there. So I'm going to say Jim Harbaugh, LA Chargers by the end of the day tomorrow.
Okay.
What do you think? Who do you think might go where? Where do you think Belichick might go?
I really don't care.
Do you think he is going to coach though, for sure?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. I think he'll end up somewhere. When you have these head coach shuffles, you kind of get a viewpoint on who the real talented coaches are, who's sought after.
Yeah.
So you think that if you've got a talented one, you like lock them down long term and you hang on to them. That's why I was so surprised.
Yeah.
That Belichick got let go.
And I think it was a nice, they did a joint press conference. Robert Kraft too. You know what pisses me off? Like a lot of people give Deshaun Watson a lot of crap about the whole massage stuff and whatever. Robert Kraft was legitly caught. And no one talks poorly about him because he's the white billionaire owner. But Deshaun Watson, he's just a multi-millionaire quarterback. But think what you want. But I think there's a little race thing involved there.
You think
too.
So?
Oh yeah,
right.
I think there's a national media agenda out there. Think what you want about Deshaun Watson. Probably not the most perfect guy off the field, but he does a lot of good stuff in the community. A lot of people loved him up until all these reports came out, said he was a really good person, this and that. But Robert Kraft gets none of that. Like, I haven't heard a single thing negative about him. So,
all right, well, here, Deshaun Watson, if you're listening, just become a billionaire. That's the strategy.
Yeah, well, he's about a quarter of his way there from this 5-year
sign
contract.
another contract. The bench contracts work.
Yeah, I know. So, but a couple things I've heard though too is like, oh, Deshaun Watson doesn't want to play. He's not, whatever, this and that. It's like the dude is a professional football player. He was 5-1, 4-1 technically with the Browns this year. So
even though he won, there's not a game that he looked better than Flacco looked after not playing for.
Disagree.
Tell me which way.
The Tennessee game looked really good.
One game.
The second half of the Baltimore game.
How many times did Flacco throw at people's shoes? I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's fair. How many interceptions did Flacco throw too? A lot. And again, he came off the couch. Deshaun didn't play for a long time. They both have rust factor. And I don't want to like trash the Browns players at all because
we're just pissed. We're allowed to get that off of our chest.
We're just in a shitty mood today. And you know what? We're allowed to complain.
Yeah. Get it all out, man.
I was on with the MLO bros on Tuesday night. We didn't do a podcast here Tuesday. I jumped on with them on Tuesday, and they asked me to about an hour before. They said, come up with a list of a couple things that piss you off about social media.
Okay.
And so I gave mine. What pisses you off about social media? We're going to be all over the place, by the way, today. So if you're here for the Browns, we will get to that. If you're here for the NFL, we will get to that. If you're here for Ryan Martino, we will get to him when he gets here. He should be down here in about a half hour. So,
when my kid, my 13-year-old got on social media, I only gave him one thing to don't do. Don't you ever post food on social media. That's it.
Like the pictures of food.
Yeah. I'm eating a cheeseburger.
Yeah,
snap.
Yeah.
Hate that.
I will say, yeah, that's definitely people that think they're, you're at a freaking, God love BJ's Brew House, but you're at BJ's taking a picture of a freaking chicken sandwich and French fries and a salad or something. It's like, oh, wow. I've never seen that before. That's fascinating. Or you're at an Italian restaurant in Youngstown taking a picture of a freaking plate of spaghetti and meatballs. It's like, oh, no one from Youngstown has ever seen that before, for God's sakes. It's like, shit.
Now, if you're marketing your restaurant and you take a snapshot of the burger, you get an exemption to that.
That's different.
Yeah.
That's different. If it's like the restaurant itself posting it to its social media, yeah, that's marketing.
But I feel like that's biased because if I take the shot, the restaurant takes a shot, I might be like, oh, that looks good. Maybe I'll just head down to the Federal and grab that burger. But if Mary Jane Sue takes that same picture, I'm like, you B, what are you taking a picture of your food
and
for?
pick a damn name, Mary Jo Sue. I mean, for God's sake.
Too many first names.
Yeah. You never trust anyone with one or multiple first name, like Tex Allen or,
Billy Bob,
whatever. So,
right. What were what pisses you off about social?
So, the number one thing I said on my list was passive aggressive comments. Like, if you're going to call somebody out, first of all, be a man, be a woman, talk to them face to face, or if you're going to stir the pot, call them out directly. It's like give them a chance to respond. Whereas some people are so passive aggressive, they don't even know who they're talking about anymore, but they do. You know what I mean? It's like they have made so many frenemies, or they are so fake nice to you to your face, and then they will stab you in the back in a heartbeat like that. There's a lot of shitty people like that.
Do you have any like legit haters that follow you around and shit post you?
Anymore, probably not. Like I think most people that know me know I'm a pretty nice, genuine person. What you kind of see is what you get from me. I'm not someone that's going to be like, hi, nice to your face and like talk shit about you behind your back. That's not who I am. If I don't like you, I probably am not going to give you the time of day. Okay. And normally I give everybody a chance, unless I completely disrespect you, because you're just a terrible person, or you're like one of those people that are those fake nice people. And believe me, we've all crossed paths with those type of people in my life. Especially there's been a few, not many. Most people out there are genuinely really, really good people. So it's almost like that it's almost like a bell curve in the sense of like you have your small group of really terrible, awful people. You have the up, the great big majority, the vast majority are super awesome people, great people, legitimate, to your face, nice, whatever. And then at the end, there's those people that are kind of nice, but they're kind of shitty too. You know what I mean? They're like they play the two-faced coin. So but if someone's going to be shitty like that, I'd rather them just be shitty and not be that half nice, half fake. I'm this way on social media. I'm this way when I'm talking with somebody to get something of benefit to myself or whatever. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
Does that make sense?
I have 5 legit enemies like that they gun for
5.
me pretty much every day of their lives.
Only 5?
Only 5.
Okay.
3 of them are kind of that passive aggressive. They throw some grenades my way. They try to make me look foolish. And 2 of them, like I know they would stab me in the face with a screwdriver. No doubt. Like they've been my nemesis for years.
Okay.
And I kept all of my socials open, and at a certain point, they're kind of entertaining with how far they'll go. And I don't really engage, but they have to vocalize on everything that I post and try to make me look like an idiot.
I have I don't want to say any names per se, but when you are out in the public eye, you're a business owner, you are out in the community, you're involved with a lot of different things. So a lot of people know you from that. I was more of a in a smaller, let's call it a smaller pond with a lot of fish in there too. So my pond, being a teacher and a coach, most people, I don't want to say in education, especially, I was an elementary teacher. I had great relationships with staff, with kids. Well, kids, number one, that's most important. You want that rapport with them. And you want them to like you, but you also want them to respect you. When they're in second grade, when I was teaching for so long, as long as you're a nice person, those kids are going to love you, and your job is to, 1, keep them safe, 2, enjoy learning. That was my job and I loved it. There's a lot of different loopholes teachers have to do now, or hoops, I should say, they have to jump through, which doesn't make education as fun as it used to be. And I'm sure your wife can, I'm not saying, I don't want to put words in her mouth, but a lot of teachers out there know what I mean. You're in it for the kids. You're not in it for all the hoops you have to jump through. And honestly, at the end of the day, you're not getting paid what you're worth, but at the end of the day, you're worth what you get paid, because that's the job market. So
I was a little bit afraid of you, by the way, before we started doing stuff. Like teachers, nuns, and police officers are just like lily white. You're involved in a charity that does all this great stuff. You're a teacher. I'm thinking, man, this guy's too straight laced for me. Like, and then I found your OnlyFans site, and I knew all of that went to shit. And now I know who you really
feet,
are.
By the way, great feet. I've made more money off of my feet on OnlyFans than I ever have in education. That's a joke.
Yeah, but it was a little intimidating until and I don't want to say my guard came down a little bit after I got to know you a little bit, because you're not as lily white as I thought you were.
Well,
not as an insult.
Yeah, I don't even know what lily white means. Is that just like a color, or is that just like
very pure? Very, yeah.
Honestly, I think for the most part I am. But I think people that know me know I have like kind of a dark sense of humor. I kind of have like, I'm not like straight laced to the point where, like, oh, it has to be this way. Everything has to be perfect. When I'm around, kids or my athletes or whatever, I wanted them to know you can trust me. You can joke around with me. You can do this, you can do that. But at the end of the day, you want people to respect you. And like where I was saying, I'm kind of like a fish in a smaller pond with the education and the coaching. A lot of people know you in that particular community. And I would say for the most part, I got along with just about everybody. I had like maybe 2 incidents with parents in 13 years of teaching. And I had I want to say like 3 incidents with coaching where I had like a few, and generally it was playing time. It wasn't like I don't like the way you're talking or this or that, because it's
no
like
Bobby Knight throwing chairs or
God,
anything
no.
like.
I did, like I told you, I was ejected one time when I was a JV head coach, and my athletic director at the time, her name is Denise Gorski, and she is the best, one of the best human beings out there. Called me and just was like, just maybe make sure you're, and she was like talking me down. And by the way, my daughter, she turns 5 in like next week on the 22nd. She was born the day before. And that was my first time out of the hospital, was going to coach a game, and I got ejected. And I think my emotions were just running high, but I never swear at an official. I never did any of that, but I was always respectful. But I will say, from my coaching, there was 2 or 3 people that probably don't like me for whatever reason. And you know what? I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that, because at the end of the day, I did the best job I could, and I was true to myself. Like, I didn't necessarily get to do things the way I wanted to do because of outside factors and things like that. But some people try to manipulate a situation behind the scenes, and that will always bother me, and I will be respectful and not use any names. But those 2 or 3 people will always piss me off. But I will always be respectful and not call them out, not do this or that. I just don't want to associate with them, and I move on, and I'm better for it. And hey, to each their own. So,
all right. So if you're listening, we're doing a power lunch here over how to make friends and influence people. Now, let me tell you how to do everything wrong. Like Justin just told you how to do it the right way. So I used to, so my haters used to really hit me when I was on the radio.
Okay.
Right? They try to get at me, and they would text me and whatever, send in shows.
So now, can I ask, was this when you're talking politics?
No, this was technology.
Okay.
Technology and business. And so I made a segment in every show I would read all the critical things, and I would take jabs and mock and really, give it to them, because I wouldn't let them get to me. And like, I was saying all the worst things they could say at me. Yeah. And I was making it a playful thing. So that had to murder them inside. 100%. But they wanted me to read that, like, stew and get angry. Yeah. And I would jovially, is that a word? Jovially?
Sure.
I would jovially talk about it and make it a prime part of the program.
Yeah.
That pissed them off.
And they did not like that.
No, they followed me for years and years now.
But what our buddies Luke and Isaac would say is, that's good entertainment, because whether they like you or hate you, they're watching.
That's exactly right.
Or listening.
Still 5 years later, they hate my guts.
Yeah.
And they're commenting on every freaking thing that I put.
And that's probably why I don't have quite the numbers of viewers that they do, because I don't like really ruffle a whole lot of feathers. I like to be an outlet for information. I like to be an outlet for entertainment and stuff like that. But I usually don't punch people in the back of their heads.
Well, see, your personality type needs a bad cop. Like, you need a couple, and your wife is equally as nice and as pure as you are.
Except to me, but everybody else. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
So, but you need people in your life and I would feel like I'm a safe bad cop with you, because I'm not a murderer. I don't, traffic in children. I don't do any of those
good
frowned upon things, right? So I'm just a good enough bad cop, or a bad enough good cop.
Yeah,
that we compliment one another.
Perfect.
See, look at this love that's going on.
I know. It's a lot of good shit going on right now. It's fun to have one of these, because Edgar is totally Edgar, I'm gonna piss. Edgar's one of my best friends, but
he said cheese dick, and I would say that's a U word.
Yes.
So Edgar, stop playing with his vocabulary here.
But I will say I did steal that word from another friend of mine, Dave Spires, who only uses it when it pertains to a cheese dick. There's only a few cheese dicks out there, and you don't want to use that word too loosely. Edgar is a great human being. Works for our government as a representative. He's a Notre Dame fan, which I give him a little shit for here and there. But what I will say is, who's named their kid Edgar in the last 65 years?
No, Beatrice did.
Just
Notre
kidding.
Dame government. Is he a Nazi by chance? Too?
Oh no. He's no. Last
we need a trifecta. Oh, Edgar. Edgar.
Yeah.
Notre Dame government worker.
Yeah. There you go.
Sorry, Edgar. I gotta play my role.
The triad.
The triad.
Right there.
Yep.
So yeah. So Edgar, we love you. Except for we used to call him Easy E. You know, back in the day, we used to call him Sleazy E. We've got a bunch of nicknames for him. Special Ed, which probably get canceled for saying now, but you know, it is what it is. We had some good times. So Edgar's a good dude. So
you guys are really edgy. Like you guys are
there's some like group texts and things that we always said, like, if somebody read these, we would totally be canceled or fired or
you gotta have that group that you can share like that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah. And you always need someone that's like the butt of every joke, because you know what? If you're not in that group, you are the butt of the joke.
Exactly. That is such good logic.
Yes. So good. Edgar's laughing out there. So
good.
We're having some fun.
We're bourbon and entertainment brought to you by 330 Sports Show.
There we go. And we got plenty of Sazerac rye down here. We need to get your friend from Cut and Toast. We need to get that Sazerac rye rep, bring her down here.
Yes.
And hey, they should be the official drink sponsor. Penguin City, Sazerac rye.
Well, let's get a picture. I'll tag it up and then we'll see.
You want to do it live on the show? We can even say, hey, so Sazerac rye, we love you.
We still, so don't.
So okay.
So we got Sazerac here. Let's give me a little arm length.
Perfect. All right. So
now we're gonna tag them in it,
and let's see. Let's see what happens now, Joe.
Yes, sir.
Next, so this is our only show this week. Next week, I'm probably gonna take Tuesday and Thursday off because we're doing the Penguin City live show on Wednesday. It's gonna be what, you, me, Fast Freddy, or we have any other people
Chip
coming
Banks.
on?
Do you know who Chip Banks is?
I do not know Chip Banks.
You're gonna get to meet Chip Banks.
Banks sounds like a linebacker.
Chip Banks. I'll tell you after the show what he does, but he's a radio host.
Okay.
And I'll tell you about him afterwards.
Okay.
But he's got a cool following.
We have put feelers out there for one special guest. We don't know if he's a very hard person to get a hold of. Not him individually, but his people. And we're trying to get him down. I know for a fact he's been at Penguin City before. And I know for a fact he's got ties to this area. You have spoken to him. I have spoken to him, but his reps won't necessarily get back to us.
You know what I really think? I think he struggles with technology. I really do.
No, I don't disagree. And
there's only one person I know that has his cell number. That's the answer to our prayers. If we could just text him.
Is that my sister?
I'm not naming any names here. But if she would just he already said that he wants to talk to you and I, but he can't figure out the whole messenger thing. We're probably, you know how you go to Messenger, and it's like message requests from unknown plebeians.
Oh, I get 100 of those on the 330.
We are that to him. We're sitting in there and he doesn't know how to get there.
That's true. Because every time that I have messaged this particular person, it takes him 3 or 4 days to respond. And I'm sure he's got a lot going on, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
Maybe he just doesn't like us. I don't know.
I don't know why.
I don't know. I will say I went to the same high school as him. So
I would drink his coffee tomorrow if he'd freaking call me.
I'm a fan of a former football team he's played for. So just saying, I don't know. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So
you know what? I do like his dad a lot. Like his dad's one of my favorite.
Yeah, I've heard his dad's a really nice guy. I've never met his dad. His sister, we're talking about Bernie Kosar, by the way, if you haven't figured it out. His sister used to own a vacuum store. She had a son with special needs, and he was really into vacuums and sweepers. And they used to have an office right next to Making Kids Count, whereas now that Speedway on West Boulevard, in the old office there, she used to have a little sweeper store there. So I've met his sister a couple times before.
My wife was hung out with his sister this last weekend, and she didn't mention it. She's not going to pull that lever for us.
It's very disappointing.
I don't understand it.
We're trying to promote, give free business here. I will drink the coffee every day live on set.
Yeah, same here.
So I mean, come on, Bernie. We're calling you out. We love you, but Bernie, help us out a little bit too.
Help us help you.
Help us help you. You scratch your back, or I scratch mine, or how's
We're
that
just
work?
scratching backs. That's all we do here.
We do a lot of back scratching.
Yes,
and we're not weird about it though. So
he's
all right.
weird about it.
Anyways, okay. So
are we talking sports at all? By the way,
so let me tell you. So we have 4 playoff games in the NFL this weekend. We have. Let me. Well, first of all, the first game is the Ravens and the Texans. The Texans who knocked off the Browns. CJ Stroud looks amazing.
He did too.
And it is what it is. So in that game, Ravens are hosting the Texans. Ravens, I believe, are a 9-point favorite in that game. I think that's too many points.
For sure.
I like the Cowheads to cover the spread, but
those of you who have not, you have to search for Landry's team naming video, the cutest video that you ever see. So the Cowheads will be a forever reference.
So I will tell you, like, my dad sent me Landry's picks this weekend. So she's at their house today. So she took the B-Birds.
Okay, good.
Over the Cowheads, the Buffaloes over the Chiefs, which is surprising because she loves Patrick Mahomes. She took the G's over the 49ers. I don't know about that. And that's the Packers, by the way, over the 49ers. And she took the Pirates, which are the Buccaneers, over the Lions. So she went with Baltimore, Buffalo, Green Bay, and Tampa. So she likes the Bay teams, I guess. But
what do you think about Mr. Baker?
I think he had a really nice game. I think Philadelphia freaking mailed it.
I do not know what happened.
And can I tell you, because I just got my statement from FanDuel. I had the 2 accounts. I use 2 separate betting accounts one time. Sometimes you get better lines on certain ones. So I used FanDuel and I used MGM. So MGM, I did well last year. On my account, I was in the green or the black or whatever you want to say there. My FanDuel account, I got my statement, and I'm not going to say how much I bet, but we'll just say it was in somewhere between, you know what, I'm just going to say it was $14,500 is what I gambled, what I put out there in bets. Guess how much money I made, or excuse me, I won back on FanDuel. So I put out there $14,500 in bets. How much did I get return?
$1,400.
$14,400. So I was down $100.
Oh.
So it, like I put out $14,500 in bets. I returned $14,400. So I was down 100 in bets.
Okay.
Not too bad.
No.
If the Philadelphia Eagles would have not screwed me over the last 3 of the 4 weeks, I would have been up like a lot, but Philadelphia, pure ass. They suck. So they lost 6 out of their last 7 or 5 out of their last 6. Jason Kelsey's like, I've had a freaking enough. I'm retiring. The body language sucked. So Philadelphia, good riddance. The best thing about them, if you follow, her name's Erin Katie Dolan on Twitter or X, whatever. She works for ESPN. She is one of the best looking women out there, but she also follows sports and knows her shit, and she gives gambling advice, and it's usually very good. She is an Eagles fan. She is the only good thing about that fan base, or the only good thing about that team. So,
is she the real short one?
I don't think she's short. Okay. I mean, she's probably average 5'8", ish, 5'7". 5'6", I don't know. So, but
do you think she's the best looking sideline reporter that there is?
She's not even a sideline reporter. She's in studio. So yeah, look her up. It's worth a look. So,
okay.
Erin Kate Dolan. So,
when your special guest comes in, I'll go back there and put up all the cute sideline reporters back there.
Joe,
just leave me alone for a little bit.
But she will give you good gambling advice. I will tell you that. But okay, so Baltimore and Houston. Your thoughts on that game?
I'm sorry.
Baltimore. Let's go back to Baltimore and Houston.
And the Cowheads.
And the Cowheads. So the B-Birds and the Cowheads.
Yeah.
What do you think?
It's Baltimore all the way. It depends. I think that Stroud had a really solid game against the Browns, but I don't know how that stacks up against the B-Birds.
Yeah. I think Houston is going to start quick in that game. I think Baltimore will start a little bit sluggish, being really not playing for the last 2 weeks. They're their main guys. I like Houston to cover the spread, but I like Baltimore to win the game. So I'm going to go with the B-Birds over the Cowheads, but I take the Cowheads to cover. So in that game.
And I think honestly, those defensive backs are really going to hurt Houston in that game.
Yeah. Their secondary is really not that good. They got a lot of pressure on the Browns though. And they forced them into some tough situations.
Yep.
So, and CJ Stroud looks like a dude. And these teams played week 1, and I think it was like 25-9. Baltimore knocked him off, but CJ Stroud's had a full NFL slate to get
he looks solid, like you said.
All right, next one we have. I believe that's Saturday night is Green Bay at San Francisco. So, that's another one. I think San Francisco is like a 9.5 point favorite in that. What say you on that one?
San Francisco for sure.
Yeah, I like San Francisco to even cover the spread.
I got things to do.
All right. So here, let's go two more games though, since we got it. Buffalo and Kansas City. Joe, just give me your pick on that. Buffalo and Kansas City. That's about a 3 point spread.
Buffalo.
Buffalo?
Buffalo's on fire.
Buffalo. I'm going to go with Buffalo on that too. And then you got the Buccaneers and the Lions.
I want the Lions, but I got to go with Baker Mayfield. I think one more.
All right. And I'm going to go with the Lions all the way in that one. So we'll have the Lions, 49ers, and we'll see Baltimore and Buffalo is my thoughts. We have our guest in studio. We will bring him on just here shortly. Getting off of work, we'll have him tell you all his background. I was telling Joe before, Ryan sent me his bio, and I felt like I had to like bookmark it because my God, this guy's resume is unbelievable. So let's bring in our guest, Mr. Ryan Martino. Ryan, how you doing? Welcome to the show.
Great to see you again.
Yeah. Well, great to see you. And last time I think I saw you in person was down in Columbus at one of the Ohio State YSU tailgates beforehand. So
that was a pretty overwhelming experience. We've never been to a game day experience at Ohio State.
Okay.
A former football player for Youngstown State, kind of a little different experience. So we were going tailgate to tailgate a lot and running into people we knew from all over, from racing, from, our days of YSU, and just, trying to get the full game day experience. And then once we got through that experience, then we went through that tunnel where I guess they do the band.
Oh yeah.
We came out there and we're like, a whole new world.
It's an unbelievable experience down there, and it's cool to see YSU and Ohio State. Obviously, you played for Coach Tressel, so like the whole pageantry down there of him and Youngstown, and most Penguin fans are Ohio State fans too. So you have the overlap, and
it's not too many college football games you go to and people are wearing both teams on.
Exactly. So I'll tell you what, let's get into your background a little bit here. And you're a Youngstown guy, Cardinal Mooney grad, went to Youngstown State. And so tell us a little bit, we're going to get into all the racing stuff here in a minute too, but tell us a little bit just about like growing up in Youngstown and then how you ended up going from Mooney to YSU.
Okay. So when I came out of grade school, went to St. Luke's grade school, was one of the premier student athletes in the town. And there was only one choice to go to if I wanted to make it to the next level, and that was Cardinal Mooney. The Youngstown City schools were all collapsed, and then I think the only one left was Wilson. My parents decided it was a great opportunity for me to get a look for college, and not only that, but a quality education.
Yeah.
So I went to Cardinal Mooney, had a pretty good career, and came out. I was getting heavily recruited by a lot of Division I colleges. And I guess Coach Butchie didn't see me as one of his top dogs, so he wasn't pushing too hard.
Okay.
So then we quickly learned the recruiting process, and that was before they did all this online. So we were just sending VHS tapes out for recruiting, and trying to recruit me as an athlete as we did with our race team, and we were able to salvage. I think we had it down to Akron, Purdue, Youngstown State.
Okay.
So a quick story about that is we go to Akron. I think it's the second to last home game of the year for Akron. It might have been their last home game. There's probably like 200 or 300 people in the stands. They're getting their heads handed to them. We're like, forget this. We're leaving at halftime. We're going to Youngstown State.
Yeah.
We show up there for the fourth quarter, playing Illinois State, and the place is rocking. They got 20,000 there. People are on their feet. And I'm like, all right, that's strike one against Akron. And then Coach Tressel brought me in for my initial meeting, to determine whether or not I'm going to commit to YSU.
Yeah.
Go to Youngstown State. And then that's been my home. I mean, I went to all my grade school events were at Youngstown State. All the high school games were played at Youngstown State.
Yeah.
It was like a home to me. So, with the race car, it was kind of one of those decisions where, are we going to, put the racing aside for me to go to Purdue?
Yeah.
And then all the weekends are going to be spent tailgating at Purdue and going to watch the games and traveling across country. Or are we going to race and still be able to do an education? So Coach Tressel's pretty convincing now, if you know that or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I met with him and Coach Knatzer and pretty much made my mind up.
That's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Oh, yeah. Kenny. He was one of the main drivers in getting me to go to Youngstown State.
Okay.
There's been nights he'll call me, and I went to a lot of spring ball practices to get, see what's going on with the program.
Yeah.
So I did one initial walk. So this is for me. This is all me. So it was snowy. There was probably 5 or 6 inches of snow in the stadium. So I went through the locker room, went up the ramp, came out the door that I've been through, hundreds of times, went on the field, walked across the field, and then went out the other side and decided I'm just going to go to Youngstown State. So,
okay.
Coming out of high school was difficult because I played for, we went to state semis, Butchies last year. That was my senior year. And my average was like 39 yards. And people are looking at my average like, man, that's pretty low. I'm like, yeah, when your team is that good, you don't punt on the other side of 50.
Exactly.
So it's difficult to explain it. I could average 48, 50 yards if I wanted to, because a lot of colleges would come see me during the games for pregame to see how good I actually was.
You're pinning them inside the red zone as your goal.
Right. So our first game, my senior year, I go to all these camps. I'm top punter at Notre Dame's football camp. Go to Ohio State, top punter in the country there. 80, 120 punters. I'm number one. And first game, I'm like, I'm going to get my average up there. So I start kicking. Don't even go inside the 5. I'm going touchbacks to get the extra yards for the average. And Coach Butchie goes, that ain't going to work around here. I know exactly what you're doing. We need you to win these games.
Yeah.
So then I became a precision booch punter, which I worked with a guy named Craig Jarrett from Michigan State, who was their punter at the time. He showed me his new technique they were coming out with in college for Big Ten.
Yeah.
And I was really able to perfect that. So I think, man, I probably punted 40 times and put 35 of them inside the 10. So that was my real, I guess, specialty was pooch punt.
It's an art. It's an art. And those like elite punters are weapons.
So that's what I would do is pin them down, and then the colleges would see my tape and be like, man, this kid's got something special. And, if we could have probably recruited a little bit harder if we'd have known the process and made some networking opportunities, but I don't regret going to Youngstown State for 1 second. It was a premium education.
Yeah.
Fantastic experience. And I got to be in front of my family and friends in our hometown. See, I've always been pro Youngstown, my family, from day one as a kid, especially the racing. So I was always community first. So I thought I owed it to the community to contribute my talents to the community. And, it's something we still go by these days.
That's
awesome. A lot of stuff and staying active in the community.
That's awesome. So before we get into the racing too, since you played for Coach Tressel and him being an absolute legend, I saw yesterday was the day he signed, to go down to Ohio State, 23 years ago yesterday.
I was a part of that experience, actually.
Were you? Okay.
He came to us early. It would have been right after my first freshman year. And he had a team meeting, which was, uncharacteristic at that time because we would just go right into lifting and winter conditioning. And he says, everybody meet, at 4:00 in the locker. So we meet in the locker room, we go in the coach's room. And he goes, my dad's dream was obviously to coach Ohio State his whole entire life. He never got to do that. I have a potential opportunity to coach Ohio State, and I'm going to live out my father's dream and legacy. So he broke the news to us early.
Okay.
And he walked out of the coach's room. He says, I'll be back in a half hour. You guys talk amongst each other. You figure out what you want to do. If you want me to hire somebody internally, seek somebody internally. If you want to get somebody from the outside, there's a lot of good prospective head coaches.
Yeah.
And Coach Haycock at the time was he's still an outstanding defensive coordinator.
Mm-hmm.
It just it made sense for us to keep somebody who was in the system. He knew the program, the traditions, how to win.
Yeah.
And it was kind of disappointing because he took his talents away from being a defensive coordinator, one of the tops in the country, to head coach, and never really had much involvement in the defense.
Sure.
Which was, there's games where the defense struggled, and he could have obviously stepped in there and been like, hey, we need to get, Tressa wasn't an enforcer. He was kind of one of them guys where you looked at him, he never got mad or upset, never showed any emotion.
Yeah.
But he had his guys,
Mm-hmm.
that would enforce. And Haycock was one of those guys. You go in the locker room at halftime and be like, oh, you better buckle up because this ain't going to be pretty. And then we'd come out and be a different team in the second half. But I think Coach Haycock was a decent head coach for Youngstown State, continued the tradition on. And I think he's doing pretty well still right now.
I think he's at Iowa State right now.
Doing really well.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Very good. Yeah. He's had a great career. Obviously, Coach Tressel, President Tressel has had a great career. Now let's get back to your career. Now you just got off of your full-time job. What tell people what you do for for your 9-to-5 type job. First of all,
you mean just for the benefits and retirement?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Just to support the racing team. So I work in the Mahoney County Court of Common Pleas for a judge, and I'm a bailiff. So I've been doing it since 2007. The toughest part about leaving college as an athlete is you have no job experience. So you look at a resume, you're part of a football team. You're part of I was a student of the Golden Key Honor Society. I was involved on the campus as much as I could. You come out and your resume got zero job experience. And it's tough. I came out of college in 2004, and it's a tough time to get a job. So I saw a listing in the Vindicator for position in court, and I contacted a few of our lawyer friends, and they said, it's a good opportunity. You should go down there and interview. Just hit it off and just felt like I was okay with the position and been there ever since. So it's been no 2 days are the same. You become numb to the world, though, is the downfall of the job. You see a lot of bad in the world and a lot of transition for people, getting rehabilitated, which is obviously good. And there's good things that happen down there. There's weddings and naturalizations that happen. But for the most part, you become numb to the real world.
I bet.
People tell you stories about the most gruesome and horrifying situations, and you're like, okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a wake-up call.
It's a wake-up call.
Yeah, but like you said, you probably become numb to it if you hear so many stories of that. But so as a former athlete, though, I would think that would help you as a bailiff if you ever had to step in to a situation.
Yeah, so I just go in the courtroom like this, and they're like, I don't want to mess with that.
Don't even mess with this. You show them your
they don't even know about the foot.
Exactly.
So I think as long as I've been there, we only had one defendant get out of control in the courtroom. The Mahoney County Sheriff's Department does an outstanding job and provides security for us.
Yeah.
We were able to secure that defendant pretty quick and in a safe manner, so nobody got hurt. And we got more security up there and got him controlled and was able to get on with the hearing. And
we'll have you back on a future podcast, and we can just do court stories on that one with no names.
Yeah.
But let's talk about let's get into the racing stuff. And I was telling Joe Danier, the owner of the studio down here, got into sports basically with the Blaney family in racing. So I know him and you would have probably a much more educated conversation than I'm going to have with you, because your stuff. I'm like the novice coming in. So, but I just want to know, obviously you and your dad are a team here. So when did you get involved, and how did you become involved in racing? I'm guessing because of your dad, but
it was never forced on me. So, my dad raced locally when he was, my dad got into cars. Everybody come back from Vietnam, and all the guys in the neighborhood were renting them and then bought cars when they got out of Vietnam. So they all bought sports cars, and they were, getting into cars. So this whole neighborhood was a car neighborhood. And, you had the Chevy guys, and you had some other people that were involved with Mopar, and there was territory.
Was he a Youngstown guy growing up too?
Up in Struthers.
Okay.
So he grew up in Struthers. And, then they raced at, which would be Meander, Ohio Drag City. Which, that had to be the closest track to us. Sunset, which was over in PA. And then you would have Quaker City and Salem. There were some other tracks that were a little bit close, like Dragway 42 is in West Salem. And you have Norwalk, which would be a big road trip for somebody at that time.
Yeah.
So my dad, his parents were like, don't be racing your cars. Don't be hanging around these guys. So he would, I don't know if the right word would be sneak.
Yeah.
So he sneaks to the track with these guys,
Yeah.
hitches a ride, and they're like, why don't you start racing? So he
Mhm.
starts racing, starts winning off the bat. So he doesn't want word to spread. So he wins and gets these trophies. So he's peeling the plaques off at the winning plaques off of the trophies. And then he's in the Boy Scouts, and he made it all the way to Honor Scout. And he's giving the trophies as the Boy Scouts for the Pinewood Derbies. So he's kind of like recycling. So he doesn't want words to spread. So then they start publishing in the Vindicator the winners of each of these races.
Oh,
but
boy.
They wouldn't publish the runner-up. So then he would intentionally take a dive in the finals and runner-up. And these dudes are
just
like,
to not have his name in the paper.
Right. Because he didn't want to find out.
Oh,
so then
man.
all of a sudden everybody's like, see my grandparents, and they'd be like, your kid's a phenomenal race. What do you mean race car driver? So then they finally had the talk.
Yeah.
And they were just happy that he was doing it at a drag strip rather than on a street. There's a lot of street racing going on at that time. But
Okay.
He was smart about it, went on the strip, did very well. And then after a couple of years of doing that, he went on the regional and national circuit and did very well. And then his nickname's World Famous.
Okay.
And, when I was a kid, I was like, yeah, whatever. So at this time, we don't have internet. Your only lifeline to the media is if they reach out to you by telephone. There's no directory like, hey, if you want to be in Superstock Magazine or Hot Rod Magazine, you contact them or email them. So they're contacting him. And we go to races, and people are bringing magazines that are worldwide publications and be like, look, your car's in there, look, your car's in there.
Okay.
So that's how he gets the name World Famous. They start announcing him World Famous, So that kind of was his nickname. And as a kid, you don't really appreciate this until it's over. And you look back, and he'd win all the time, be in magazines. So it's a cool experience. But it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm playing with some of the other families, the kids that are around the track, and I'm like, what is Dad doing? I have no idea.
Right.
He's in a winner's circle with the car, we're getting a picture. It was just a different time. You never really appreciated those memories. If I can go back, I'd really, cherish those moments forever, because that's what built his career and the success to today. And, his brothers went racing with them. So it was the brothers of three that went racing. My grandfather would go to some of the races. My mom would go to some of the races. But we now travel it's my dad and me going to all these races. So it's, we won a world championship, and I want to just go, we were in Virginia. It was a Monday. It was a rain out. So we had, it was typical Youngstown, fourth quarter, got to grind it out and win this out. And everybody else just crumbled, and we came through. I think we entered the last race 5th in points and ended up coming out with the championship just because of the Youngstown mentality, never give up and stay tough. So we go win this championship. And I turn around because, like Trestle's like, act like you've been there before. So I turn around just to high five one person, and there ain't nobody there to celebrate with. So I look around, I'm like, okay, this is odd. So, but there's a lot of families that were still at the track on Monday because they had to go to work and go to school. So they weren't at the race because it's October. So I come down this, it's called a return row, where you go to pick the driver up. And then all the other racers were coming to the fence and high-fiving us. It was kind of like a cool deal. But, like you see these champagne locker room, they're in there with ski goggles on. You know what we did? My dad didn't even know he won a championship because I wouldn't tell him because I didn't want to add the extra pressure. So, I'm like, we're getting ready to go back to track because we have one more round of competition to win the race. So we were able to secure a championship and still have an opportunity to win the race. And I'm like, oh yeah, by the way, we just won a championship. And it just was kind of like one of those moments where you're like, really? So we go, the race is over. And you want to celebrate because you just won a champion. That was the biggest honor you can win in drag racing.
Exactly.
Win a championship. And all we did was dump the water out of the radiator of the car so it didn't freeze on the way home, put the car in a trailer and go home. We never truly celebrated a championship.
A humble champion.
Yeah. So
a humble champion.
It was kind of weird. And then, you're riding high off the championship, coming home, and everybody's blowing your phone up and social media up. And that got, it was a 10-hour drive home.
When was this? 2018, right?
2018. So October 2018. And, you're riding high off of that. And then you come to work on Tuesday and they're like, well, where were you? It's like one of those things where like, and then you tell them what happened. They're like, oh my goodness, that's a big deal.
Because I'm sure that sport has a ton of like niche followers that are diehards.
Oh yeah.
But then there's a lot of people that are like, that's awesome, you auto race, but it's like, you drag race, whatever. But it's like they might be confused. Is it NASCAR? Is it is it Indy? Yeah, exactly. So they might not be familiar with the science or the actual nuts and bolts of the sport. So that's kind of cool. But it's like you guys are bringing more forefront. You're bringing this more to the forefront where a lot of people can learn about it and realize what you guys do. So my next question for that is, so drag racing, like for the person out there, tell them like they're a 5-year-old. Like, I don't want to talk down to people, but tell me, like, I'm a 5-year-old, what drag racing actually is. Like, I know it's a very short, you want to get off the line and finish as fast as possible, but explain to people out there what that actually is.
All right, stem wise, it's point A to point B in the quickest way to get there, which is a straight line.
Right.
So we race 1/8 mile, quarter mile, and it's basically 2 cars that are, past specifications to get to that level, race against each other. And we race, uniqueness about drag racing is we race 18 years old all the way up to 80 or 90 years.
Wow.
There's probably like a couple of guys that still race during their 80s and upper 70s.
Okay.
But you got that wide range. You got male and female. You got every background you could think of. It's like the most diverse sport that you can think of.
Okay.
So you got that perspective. And then
do they all compete against each other?
Okay. So we're competing against people from all over the world, essentially. Yeah. We got people that fly over from Dubai. They have race teams that race with us. They have people from Mexico to come up and race with us, people from Canada to come down and race with us. And it's a big family. I mean, as much as you want to bury the competition, when we're not racing, we're all hugs and kisses and handshaking, and everybody's over the trailer. Hey, we got the Youngstown food, so they're always over our trailer. Hey, we bring pizza, we bring sausage. We got the Russos on the grill, and it's like that commercial with the Fruit Loops with Toucan Sam. He's like, and these people are flocking.
Oh yeah,
and
they know
sausage. They know what good food when they see it. So they always, rely on us to bring some Youngstown goodies, some one hot cookies. Usually bring us cookie cakes for one hot cookie.
Oh
and
yeah,
these people eat, and we go to eat our food, and we're like, it's all gone. But it's good to brag about Youngstown.
Yeah, no doubt.
So we got 2 cars, and you could have the fastest car, but without the reaction time, you can lose. So you have to be sharp with reaction time and get to the finish line first. So that's the biggest thing about drag racing. It's showing the performance of your car, but also your physical talents.
Okay.
And it's really easy to drive a car. Pulls 3.5 G's to the launch, covers 60 foot in a second, and hits the finish line stripe in the 8th mile, almost 200 mile an hour, 230 miles on the finish line. So it goes straight, right? You just let go this button and mash the gas, and it goes.
Not so much.
So we'll put GoPros all over the car, and people are like, the car moves around that much. And the other thing is, people watch races and see you all over the track. It don't feel that bad in the car, but it's all over the track, and it's just fighting you. It's constant torque steering you, track conditions and performance conditions that put you all over the track. And especially when you got to know when they're bored. It's like dancing. It's like I tell people, you're dancing with somebody, you got to guide them, and when too much is too much.
Yeah.
So it's like being in this, ballet type deal and going like you got to know when they're bored. When you're in eliminations, that kind of just goes to the wayside. You're like, I got to win. So people are putting it on the line to get the win.
Sure.
And every round counts when you're running for a championship. There's people who go to the racetrack just to be at the racetrack. You have a race car, that's their vacation. There's people that go there just hoping to qualify. There's people that go there to hope to win one round. We're not leaving Youngstown unless we know we're winning the race. And we're not going to go and race one race and win it. We're going to go for the whole thing. And that's, the mindset that we're under. It's, the days with Jim Tressel, you got to know how to be a champion on and off the field. You got to be a champion in your community. You got to be a champion in the classroom. You got to be a champion in your work field. And we got to be champions, for the people that we represent as far as sponsors and champions on a racetrack. It's a lot of burden, but, it's something we're good at and able to multi-manage and be good. So we do a lot of STEM activities with kids. So we'll try to relate with Hot Wheels cars on how we race. And the easiest way to say is where the cars are going a straight line and a quick distance at fast speeds of parachutes. And kids know the parachutes if they've seen it on TV.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of like the way we would explain it to a kid is just, and then, we bring schools. We do a lot of STEM activities. So we went to Canfield Elementary School a couple of years ago and did board races.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the same thing. You got to be sharp with your skill, be ready for what's handed to you. And then, it's not a team effort, even though it's a team effort with racing. I mean, it's just a driver and whoever's working on the car, and that's it. It doesn't rely on anybody else. It's not like a team sport where if somebody drops the ball, you can pick it up. And
exactly.
Or we can get another possession. It's either over or
it's you in the vehicle.
Right. That's it.
Yep.
So, we tell these kids, we got to win, but when you win or lose, shake your opponent's hand. It's big for that. I mean, it's a huge deal for us. There's been times where people get mad because we beat them. And I go over to shake their hands, or we lose and I go over to shake somebody's hand and they get offended. They're like, and I'm like, oh, just chill out. We're just, just, it happens, and just safe travels no matter what. And we'll get together and do this again.
Now you're talking, you compete against, you said Dubai and people in Mexico, all over the world. Where do you guys actually compete? Like, give me some locations of places you guys actually go and race.
So you could drag race from East Coast to West Coast. Because of our budget, we're able to compete for a championship within a 14-hour window.
Okay.
So we could race Florida, California, Vegas, Colorado, but we don't. We try to stay east of the Mississippi. St. Louis is about as far west as we get.
Okay.
So you got St. Louis, Chicago, Indiana, Indianapolis. Then you got Norwalk, which is our home track, 2 hours away. And then you get down to the East Coast where you race Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Bristol.
Okay.
So it's kind of like we kind of do a sweep. So it's like a sweep. And we've been to these tracks for years. So we got, data on some of these tracks. The best track to race at, and it's not because it's our home track, it's because of the experience, is the Norwalk Experience, which is Summit Motorsports Park, 2 hours away. We've been friends with the Bader's family since we raced there in the 70s. And they're just first-class operations. So we don't hesitate to fly sponsors in for those races. We don't hesitate to tell fans, we better pack this place out.
Yeah.
They have the largest fan base, the strong support, and they actually stand behind their tickets. When you go drag racing, if you buy a ticket to get in the race, you get total pit access. So you can come up to us, hang out, do what you want to do with us. NASCAR, you need like you're going to the
you got to be a celebrity or somebody. Right. Yeah.
So, and it's unique about drag racing. So we bring these people to track. And the Bader family has like a pound of ice cream for $1, fireworks show that's out of this world. It's a total family friendly experience. They have a playground for kids, and it's just laid out so you can enjoy racing, and it's comfortable, it's relaxing. So that's our favorite track on the tour.
Okay.
And then because we race in Virginia so much, Virginia is like our second home now. So we race Virginia Motorsports Park in Dinwiddie, which is right outside Virginia, a little bit. About an hour west of Virginia Beach.
Okay.
So that's like our second home track now. We've had a lot of success over there. Obviously won the championship there, won a handful of races, just won a big all-star race this past summer there.
Okay.
So that's like our next favorite track on there. But we try to find a good, and there's a great fan base at every track we go to. And there's something unique about every track, or our social media. We're big historians, so we do a lot at the Mahoning Valley Historical Society. Actually did a car display with them a couple of years ago, which was fun to be involved with all the history of car culture in our community. But, we try to find some historical aspects. We go to these tracks, the history of these tracks, history of these communities, reach out to their convention and visitor bureaus, just let them know we're in town. If you need anything from that aspect, want pictures and videos so you could use it to promote your community. We're all about that.
Yeah.
So it's all about the total experience. His families travel to some of these communities. You have no idea what you're stepping into. And, say when we go racing down south, there's a lot of history from the Civil War. Like, you're one exit up from history that they're learning in books. You might as well just take a stop and make this a trip for the family and friends. It's kind of
really cool. That's really cool. And it's a way to give back, because like you said, when you're a little kid too, like everybody knows Hot Wheels, and that's like immediately when I think of drag racing, that's like the first thing I think of. I'm like,
orange track.
The little Hot Wheel car, the parachute on the back, the red, yellow, green, to start you. That's what I think of. And like I said, I'm not someone that's like super involved or know a ton about the sport, but looking up your guys' bio and like the leagues you guys race in. So there's two different race leagues, correct?
Yeah, we have two sanctioning bodies, and the PDRA is the fastest and baddest 8th mile racing on the planet. And that's kind of the new direction of drag racing. Because of the speeds we're competing, 230, 240 miles, some of those teams go, different class categories go up to 340 miles an hour and 1,000 foot.
Jeez.
The tracks aren't getting any longer.
Right.
And the cars are getting extremely faster. So they've done what they can to govern how fast we go, but the tracks aren't any short. So you're going that fast and you got a half mile to shut down. And you start doing the math. If you're kind of hesitating to throw the parachutes or start dragging the brakes, You're running out of track fast.
So what triggers the parachute to come out? Do you have to trigger it?
So here's a good one. So
Okay.
say you're going 230 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I told you the car doesn't go straight, right?
Right.
So you're going through a finish line to determine whether or not you had just won a race. So that's number one on your mind. You have to let go of this steering wheel, this car going that fast, crooked and sideways, and throw a lever forward to throw the parachutes. And then you have to shut the car down and go through a shutdown process. And they, when you get licensed, they want you to do a blindfolded. So you got to do a blindfold test. So you have no idea, but it's basically instincts. You're going there and you're doing the stuff. So you got to let go of a wheel going that fast. You're like, there's been times you're on 680 going 50 mile an hour and it's bumper to bumper. And you're like, I ain't let go of this wheel.
No, right.
You got to do that, 230, 240.
You're going 9-10 times faster than that almost. And and like you said, the torque on you, like, and you're a former athlete and you're a younger guy. And like, I can only imagine, like you said, there's people competing in their 70s and maybe even 80s. You got to be fairly physically fit to be able to handle that. Just probably the torque on the wheel and your body, and you're going how fast again? 250, maybe
230, 240. A car would probably go This is funny. Our car will go faster than 6:10 mile, but the car is certified to 6 seconds flat.
Okay.
The motor we have allegedly will go faster than 6 seconds flat.
Okay.
If you go faster than 6 seconds flat, they kick you out of the race. So you have to slow your car down.
Is it like a NASCAR thing where they restrict it?
We have to restrict it.
Okay.
So we have to pull timing and, lift out throttle. And there's certain strategies you have to shave off speed.
Okay.
So instead of going like 230, 240, 250 through the finish line, we're going about 190.
That's still pretty quick.
Shutting it down sometimes. It depends on what our strategy is. There's times where you got to run it out and do different things. But so you got to imagine that. And it's just like, so the car goes really, really fast.
Yeah.
But you got to slow your car. And you're like, why would you slow your car down?
Sure.
So then it becomes like the price is right. So you got to hit 610 without going 609. You got to hit right on the money. You got to be the closest to it. So Price is Right is probably the next closest comparison when you got to pick your number. We're like,
except this time you want to be over, not under.
Right. So the dollar ain't going to work on this one.
No. Yeah. You want to go 101 on that one. Okay. All right. Very cool. So like, what kind of fuel is involved in this? Like, is it just traditional gasoline or what is it?
So our car we had we raced nitrous for years. So you're allowed one power adder in our classic competition, and we used nitrous for years. We're very successful with it, very competitive. It just wasn't fast enough to be where we wanted to be. It's strategy where you qualify, strategy when you go to races where you want to be in qualifying, and you can't live on the edge of are we going to get in, are we going to get? So we switched so with that car, we ran 123 octane leaded fuel.
Okay.
And to give you an idea, it's about $34 a gallon. And nitrous is about, I think, $400 for a mother bottle. And you're using a 25-ounce bottle, and you got to fill it every time you run the car. So
right.
Just,
it's
economics
expensive.
says, forget this.
Yeah.
So they have this new combination that came out a couple years ago called ProCharger.
Okay.
And it's a centrifugal supercharger. It looks like a turbocharger, but it spins and blows air in the motor, and that's our power adder.
Okay.
This car runs on methanol.
Okay.
So we go to Light and Oil Company, and they make methanol. We're like, this is hometown. Anytime we have a chance to do a hometown connection and put them on the map, we're doing it. And it's kind of funny because in the 80s and early 90s, we were sponsored by Light and Oil Company. We were friends with the family. And then because of they didn't have what we needed at the time, and we had other sponsors that wanted to, that branched into the fuel industry. So we had to go with that direction and part ways with Light. And then we came together with Light, and they're like, man, let's get you back on our board. We want to be involved. We know what you do for the community. We know what you do. So we got hooked up with Light, and so we run their methanol. And there's obviously other manufacturers. Like when you go to get gas, you either go to Sheetz, you go to Giant, you go to wherever you got to go to get gas. And it's supposed to all be the same. Well, this Light and Oil methanol is phenomenal. We started using it, and there's no wear and tear on the motor. Everything's been clean every time we tear it apart. So their product is superior to anybody else.
And you feel the
market.
Performance.
Oh yeah,
with that?
Absolutely. Okay. So that's kind of cool that we go right in our backyard and get the fuel source for this car.
Okay.
But man, does methanol burn your eyes?
Okay.
So it's got a lot of, it's foul. So the first time we start this car, it was the winter time, and we want to start this car, make sure everything works on it. We do it in the garage. I'm in the car. My dad's outside the car. It starts. He's able to bail. I'm in the car crying. Got my shirt up over my eyes.
I was going to say, what do you wear? Have to wear a gas mask or something almost.
I guess in that situation, you would have to. I'm not the smartest thing, but we learned our lesson with that you have to be out in the open air when you do that.
Okay. That's good. It's good to know for any novices out there that might trying this stuff. So how long is the car actually? Because everybody's got it, I'm sure, pictured in their mind. How long is the actual car itself?
So our car is
the vehicle
240 inches long.
Okay.
So I give comparison. We're on school. We always try to give comparisons. So you're like a basketball hoop is 10 foot.
Right.
That's what 120 inches. It's basically two basketball hoops high.
Okay.
And it's long. And we have a 34-foot trailer. So the car goes in the trailer. And then we have a golf cart that pushes the car around the pit area. Try not to run the motor if we don't have to, because you don't need the extra wear and tear in the fuel and the oil and all that. So we push the car to the starting line, then we start it up and run it, and then we'll pick it up and retrieve it with the golf cart and push it back to the trailer. So that's kind of like our routine. But that car is long. And they're able to, just by technology advancements, they move. Back when we first started racing these dragsters, the roll cage, all the weight was towards the back third.
Sure.
Their new designs with these cars is to push the roll cage and motor more towards the middle, so the car has weight in the middle, so it doesn't pick the wheels up.
Okay.
So you want all four on the ground all the time.
Yeah.
There's people that race with
you've seen them flip them. Yep.
And you don't want that going on.
Okay.
So the new technologies obviously was a smart move for us when we went to this Pro Charger. We found a manufacturer that was friends with our engine supplier and got this car, and it's been an amazing piece for us.
So looking at your equipment that you've worn, the YSU helmet stands out. That's really cool. But you obviously have equipment, you have the vehicle, you got the fuel. What else? The tires. What else goes into a vehicle like this?
Just about everything you could imagine. And my dad and me own every aspect of our race program. We work on every aspect of our program. We don't have a team or crew. Some of the teams we race would just, hey, we got a guy or a girl that flies or that drives our truck to the track.
Sure.
And then we'll fly in on Wednesday night, get to the hotel, we'll go to the racetrack, hop in the car, and then we're done on Saturday or Sunday.
Sure.
We'll hop back on a jet and go home. We don't have that aspect of luxury. We got to, the hardest part about racing is getting to the race and getting home.
Yeah.
You see just about everything you can imagine on the road. So we like to travel at night when there's less traffic, but then obviously you got
a 34-foot trailer on the back too.
Yeah, I think you're only allowed to have 65 feet on the road, so we're at 64 and 64 and 3/4 or something like that.
So you're basically a semi.
Yeah, coming down the road.
Yeah, okay.
And you need that. You need, it's your home away from home. We have a motor home that pulls the trailer, and we stay at the racetrack. Just because we have fans and they come to visit us. And we spend as much time as you can. And there's obviously the asterisk of the schedule and weather. So if it starts raining, then they start moving classes around, or your expected qualifying times get changed, and you got to be at the track. There's been times in the hotel days where we were towing with a dually and a trailer. We're at the hotel and people are calling us. Luckily, there were cell phones. Hey, we're qualifying in a half hour. You better get down here. And you're scrambling. So when you're at the racetrack, you hear all the updates, and that's before social media. Now they're really good about projected. There's schedule A, schedule B, schedule C.
Yeah.
And if it goes into a delay of some sort where there's a track issue where they have something with the track wrong, this is a good one. So we're at this All-Star race this year, and it's an honor to be at the All-Star race. So they take the 8 top drivers from each class and they bring them into this event in Virginia. It's called the Pro Stars.
Okay.
So, it's a winner take all deal. So you can tow all the way down there, runner up, and not get any purse. We just race for the trophies.
Yeah, just the trophy.
So we go to this race and we qualify, and they do driver introductions. So we got to do it up Youngstown style. So we get shirts bagged up, and my dad's doing the Hulk Hogan, throwing shirts on the car, everybody hyped up. So everybody's behind us at this race. They got concerts going on. So we win first round, and you come back down through the pit area and do a chip draw. If you're running second round, do a chip draw. We win second round. So we're in the finals of this race. The guy we're running is a good friend of ours, and he goes, "Hey, we're broke." Oh, really? So we're going to get, a layup for a win.
Yeah, right.
So, we're getting, our shirts ready, and it's not often that you go to the finals knowing you're going to win. So usually when you win a race, you got to go back to trailer and rush and get hats for every fan that wants to be in there. And you got stuff to throw out to the fans. And, make the whole thing, make it an experience for everybody that's down there taking pictures, get
Right.
cameras and all. And you don't want to shoot yourself in the foot and go down there with all that stuff and you lose. And so we go like, oh, this is cool. So they have a timing malfunction.
Oh boy.
So, it's getting into like 10 o'clock. Then they got a curfew. So they have this issue with the timing system. Then there's a fire in the tower. The timing system catches fire. So we're like, great. Then the sprinkler system goes out and floods the tower.
Oh, geez.
So during this downtime, we're trying to keep these fans in the crowd. So then they have a hot dog eating contest trying to, it's all live on TV. So they're trying to get this time filled. And first person eats, it's like the hot dog on stage.
Oh, yeah.
Pounding hot dogs. And this dude hurls the hot dog all over the racetrack. So they got to clean this up. Then there's a girl behind this guy that's a second competitor and chokes on the hot dog, goes into cardiac arrest. So now they got to either life flight or ambulance is red coming out of here. So this is like, what could go wrong?
Yeah.
Will go wrong. It's like typical Youngstown stuff. Like it only happens to
And where was this one at?
Virginia.
This was in Virginia.
Typical, this is our lucky day, right?
Yeah.
So they decide they're going to split the purse and run the finals at our next race, which is in Michigan. And how high people like Michigan.
Oh, yeah.
So we're like, oh, great. So this gives this guy an opportunity to fix his car. And now we're going to run for this final, which we'd rather have. We don't want to, ever, you take wins any way you can get them.
Exactly. Yeah.
But it's obviously good to win when you
It's nice to win when everyone's at full strength.
Right.
But
this dude gets
but you'll take it when you get.
And, we run in the, they run our race during this Michigan race, which is also packed. I mean, Michigan packs out every time we go out there, and, we give them the OH when we go out there. So we go out there and we run this final and we win. I mean, there's like perfection. Our margin of perfection was like within 10,000ths of a second. So we win this race and, we celebrate and then, it's on to the next race and we end up runner up in the next race. So we go, restart the next day and we go all the way to the finals and then end up runner up. I think we lost by like 1,000ths of a second or something. So our races are won and lost by 10,000ths and thousands of a second. And you look on the ruler and you're like, how can you go that fast, leave at two different times and be at the finish line and then it come down to
like a snap of the finger.
So if you had one cookie less, the car would have went. I mean, it's that scientific. And it's tough for people to understand. Oh, you lost the race. Yeah, but it was only 10,000ths of a second. Well, it's like the Vin Diesel thing where it don't matter if you win by an inch or a quarter mile or racing, whatever he said,
Yeah, right.
But that's racing. You can go all the way down to South Carolina, lose by 10,000ths of a second, get no purse money, and have to travel all the way back to Youngstown with that. In your, your heart that, man, we should have won that race. And then you got to wait till the next.
Is it a lot of times winner takes all, or do they have
just that all-star race?
Okay.
Which gets you amped up a little bit extra. We always give our best at the start, but when it's on the line like that and there's a crowd like that and they got entertainment like that, it was just a special place. And we're like, come out with a new car 4 races in and be in this position.
Heck yeah.
That's pretty special.
So this is obviously I loved in your bio you put hobby because this is an elaborate hobby. We'll say it like that. This is more of a
more than full-time job.
Yeah, this is more than a full-time job. You and your dad are your full team. You got the vehicle, you got all the stuff that goes into it. I see a lot of sponsors on your shirt. Do you want to give any of them a shout out and tell us? I mean, this is not a cheap thing to do either. So you want to tell us a little bit about your sponsors, a little bit about what goes into it financially. You don't have to throw out dollar figures or anything like that. But
so, it's always difficult to find funding. And I think since the 2020 experience, it gave people an out.
Yeah.
A refresh. So, it gave people an opportunity to sit back and say, we're going to reset our marketing budgets and redirect them. Most of our marketing partners have been with us for 10, 15, 20, some 30 years. And that's because of the value that they get from our race program. We run our own social media, run our own marketing, and on and off the track, they're going to get exposure daily. So whether it's social media, like Lucas Oil is one of our main sponsors. And trust me, I got people at work that don't even know where the gas cap is on their card.
Right.
And they're buying Lucas Oil at Walmart just to support Lucas Oil. But their product also works, and people don't know their product works unless you show people their product works. So that's been a strategy of ours with branding lately, with social media, short form video, and long term videos, to educate the public what our associates provide value for the common consumer. So, I mean, Lucas Oil got car detailing products. If you want to wash your car in the driveway, you can wipe your car down. They got, you can increase your fuel mileage and get a little bit more performance out of your car. They have products for that. So we're able to educate people about that.
Yeah.
And the most questioned sponsor or associate we have on a race car is Salt Life. They're like, what are a bunch of Northerners doing with Salt Life on their car? And the reason why we're involved with Salt Life is we're from the North Coast, right? The Fourth Coast, the best coast. So most of their consumer demographic, a majority of it, is actually from up this way. You wouldn't think of it, but if you go on the highway or you go down the street or even any parking lot, you see Salt Life stickers everywhere. And people are, we'll cash in 51 weeks of work so we can go to Florida for 1 week, and we're the ones buying the stickers to show people, oh, we went to the Salt Life. They often joke with us, like, you guys don't live by the beach. We're like, yeah, but
we appreciate it the most when we go.
And then days like this,
look outside.
My dad works for ODOT in the winter time, and he's living a Salt Life dumping salt on the road.
That's true.
So, I mean, it's kind of like a unique sponsorship, but they appreciate the value that they get through that experience because, we're promoting up this way, typically where their demographic will be Florida, the Carolinas, California, living this, their motto is surf, dive, fish. And we're big fishing enthusiasts. So we're able to, when we go to Florida with some of our teammates with Salt Life, we're able to fish and contribute to that. But, it's a lifestyle brand, and we're just trying to let people know that, up north, give them a little bit of hope, and you see a Salt Life and be like, I went to Virginia Beach this week, or I went there, they're bragging about vacations.
Yeah. It's almost a state of mind.
It is,
with that. So
it's island time. It's like the Jimmy Buffett method.
Exactly. Yeah. Change your latitude. We love Youngstown, but we just want more of that Florida weather, that Carolina weather up here, especially this time of year when you look out in, mid-January and it's not ideal outside. Right. So speaking of that, January, February, you're not going to be racing up here in Ohio. This is not prime time.
We used to have an off season. Now the car is on a little vacation from October through March.
Okay.
But we're constantly hustling. You talked about these associates. We got to do whatever we can to keep them happy and obviously try to get them, to record years and contribute. So we're doing personal appearances. We're doing whatever we can. And the hardest part about the off season is convincing some of these folks that they need to be aboard for next season. One of our associates got their budget cut by, I think, $500,000 this year, and we're still one of their top teams. So it shows you the value in our product, because they could have just said, you know what, we're going to take this money, we're funding and investing in your race program, put it elsewhere. They want involved in this program. Yeah. Then it gets you frustrated. I played college football, and then they're doing these NIL deals. How much some of these student athletes are making. And if I'd have been educated about the NIL deal a little bit more, I think that would have been more valuable to our brand. So 100%. I went to school for marketing and merchandising, and that's helped me immensely with, presenting ourselves to some of these people and doing what we got to do to brand. And not a lot of race teams are branded. And we have a brand that's recognized, globally, actually. Recognized globally. People from social media just reach out constantly, and we got family members who are able to help translate some of that stuff so we can communicate with these folks. And that's where it is. So there's no off season for us anymore. So it's, sleep's overrated is our off season motto. So we're constantly going hard as we can. And then once we get to that level, where we feel we're comfortable, then it's time to go racing again. And we're making a couple safety improvements to our car this off season. That's pretty much the big news with our race operation. Okay. Just a couple of tweaks here and there just to make things safer, especially at the speeds we're going, and just do what we can in the community. There's a lot of events coming up that we're going to be involved with. And, we try to do whatever we can. That holiday parade we had during the Christmas tree lighting and all that, it was remarkable to see 15,000 people downtown. And we were able to get a car from one of our associates, Haas Auto Group, and ride through it. So we go through the parade and get that perspective from the parade route, and it almost brings tears to your eyes. Everybody's Youngstown is Youngstown, everybody runs their mouth, but there's 15,000 people out there, and ain't a single person complaining. And it can be 10 feet of snow, it could be 30 below zero. and everybody's out there with the hope of Christmas and bringing it. It's like the Whoville Christmas. The tree lights and everybody's around the Christmas tree. Now, one year, I think our tree snapped in half, and it was like they put a 2x4 to put it back together. Then the other time we went for the tree lighting, and then we went to eat at either Avalon or V2 and came back out, and the fire department's out there putting the tree out because the tree was on fire. I'm like, this is Youngstown. I mean, just you try so hard,
and Youngstown, there's a lot of unfortunate events that have happened in Youngstown. There's a lot, but there is so much good in this city. It's awesome. I love that you're a huge proponent of it. And that's what we need. We need more of guys like you, guys like Joe Danier in the back that lift this city up, because there is anyone from Youngstown loves Youngstown.
Oh yeah.
It's a lot of the negative talk about Youngstown comes from outsiders that have maybe drove down South Avenue one time and never been back here again. Or it's like, I've heard stories about this from this and this, or like, are you guys still involved in the mob? And like, what is this, 1978 or something?
Well,
it's like,
funny thing is, when we go racing down south, we hit the Carolinas, they still think we're fighting Civil War.
Yeah, exactly.
It's legit. Like, they hate people from the north.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yankees.
They see the Ohio plates and they're like, what's, they give you that look. And these people, sometimes people don't know who we are. And we're like, yeah, we're from Youngstown, Ohio. And they're like, oh, really? And they give you that, oh, really?
I'm not going to mess with this guy.
And you're like, what's your last name? Martino? Like, oh, all right, come over for breakfast tomorrow. It's a little bit of muscle flex. And then, I got to eat the helmet. We did our helmet this year. We usually do a theme that's matches the paint job. And we were always like, we got to do a Youngstown State helmet.
Yeah.
So we did a Youngstown State helmet. And
it's awesome.
It's awesome. And the feedback you get everywhere we go in the country, either somebody knows somebody from Youngstown or went to Youngstown State. They know Trestle, they know football. I mean, just a great conversation piece for fans and fellow racers. And we had somebody come up to us last year. You guys went to Wyoming? What's the Y on the helmet? I said, are you for real? Wyoming? And it was
down south, their education not as high quality as up here in the north or northeast Ohio, but
so we have a lot of fun when we're on the road.
That's good. And I'm unfortunately in the minority of my last name doesn't end in a vowel. So but Martino, you go anywhere and you're from Youngstown, no one's messing with you and your dad. So I love it. When you guys travel, anybody else go with you, or is it just you guys?
One of my dad's brothers, if there's a race where everybody's got families now, so it's difficult to hit the road, but sometimes they'll come to the races with us, and in it, the race atmosphere has changed so much. We're constant. When we're at the racetrack, there's no downtime. When I tell people, like if we tell some of these associates who are involved with their prospective associates, if you had to pay somebody 12 hours, you need to be 4 hours overtime. You have to pay their hotel. So we're constantly working for these companies. So we're meeting with media constantly, fans constantly, roaming the pits. We'll go up in the stands with the fans. And once they find out what they go nuts. They take pictures with you, sign autographs.
Yeah.
It's part of the experience. We have to be human. We have to be able to be with the common people.
Yeah.
Because if the common people can relate to you, then your fan base grows and your support grows. And then obviously, bigger following we have, especially on social media, the stronger we are when it comes time for funding. You said earlier about the funding of this race program. There's just never enough funding. Everywhere we go, I think we were paying up to almost $6 a gallon for diesel last year. And when they went through that spike in the summer, it was just tough to get to the race. So there's times when you go race and you win, and you're still in debt.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like one of those things. And if you don't race hungry, you could be in some serious trouble. You got to park this car 3 races in because you don't have enough budget to go through the whole season.
Sure.
So that's part of that deal. So my dad and me, every race. So he won't race, and without me there, it's like the dynamic Batman and Robin type deal.
Right.
My mom will go to some races, but she gets bored at times because we're constantly going. People are stopping by the trailer, and she helps out a lot too. Like, hey, Ryan and Tom are doing this; they'll be back. So she's able to delegate some of that stuff. And then uncles go to the racetrack, and they're like, "What do you want us to do?" We're like, just sit in a chair, relax. If you need help, you need help. And they are a big help. And the hardest part about racing is when we get to the starting line, you're pushing with this golf cart. You got to get this golf cart out of the way and this car started on the track. And it happens now. So if it's just me and him, the golf cart often just stays somewhere where it's out of the way, but I got to go retrieve it at some point.
Sure.
So it's kind of like one of those deals where it'd be nice to have a third person. And, I'm doing all the social media content too. So we're in battle, and it's like people want to see how we're doing and what we're doing, because sometimes they can't tune in because they're on the road, or they can't watch us on live stream or live TV.
Yeah.
So I got to keep them updated what's going on. Text blowing up. So I got to get video and photo content. And it's not the easiest. A third person would definitely be a help. And, right now we're looking for more associates for the race program. We have a couple spots on the car that need filled. We had a couple of sponsors that, their budgets were completely cut for the year, and we have to just live with that. And it's one of those things where I wish I would have did this to keep them, or wish I would have that, or wish I said that. We leave it all on the table. It's like, if you're getting premier representation, no matter what, if there's no more we can give, we give it our all. We can't do it. So if there's any businesses out there that want to jump on, reach out to us. Willing to do that. And it's like the old Ricky Bobby from Talladega Nights. We'll do it. We'll put anything on that car.
Yep. I love it. So how can people reach out to you? I did put the Martino Motorsports out on our social, but just tell people directly how they can get in touch with you guys.
All right, so our social media handles are at Martino Motorsports, and we're on everything that we can be on. We're on Instagram's our strongest, because of all the social media.
Yeah.
TikTok, we're strong on TikTok, strong on YouTube, strong on Facebook. Threads, I still can't figure that out. It was hot for like 2 weeks.
I didn't bother with that one. Yeah.
And then X, we're kind of like, okay, it's, for the demographics of racing, Instagram's probably our hottest one. And for the older demographics, Facebook is probably where it's, we go to races sometimes and people are pulling the Facebook out, and we're like, you can tell who's the Facebook and then who's the Instagram.
Oh, yeah.
And then TikTok is just, we got some funny stories where people, we're very approachable, but kids are funny because they're afraid to come up to you. So they're like looking, and we're like, come on over. So come on over. He's like, Dad, that's that kid from TikTok. And my dad like fell on the ground laughing. He's like, what? And that's happened every race we're like, I'm a dude from TikTok. It's amazing that, your stuff goes global, and people that have never met you a day in your life.
Yeah.
That's us throughout time. I met Matt Rife a couple months ago, and, we follow him on TikTok.
Yeah.
I go to a lot of different events just to get cross marketing to see if they're doing something that way. Maybe we can adopt this to racing and then form some kind of deal, and then we could start doing this with racing. So I meet Matt Rife. So I've seen this dude on his stand-up. I've seen him live. I've seen him, pictures. I watched some of his YouTube vlogs. He has his on the road with Rife. So I'm watching his stuff like he's going to museums. He's a big history buff. So I feel like I know this dude. So I meet this guy. I'm like, hey, what's up, Matt? And it's like we're friends. Like we went to college together. Like we're just reconnecting. It's weird how you get this relation with people through social media, that you're actually a part of the family or friend group, and you meet these people, and it's like there's no awkward situation. It's like it's weird. And me and Matt were talking. His manager's like, hey, we gotta get back to the hotel. We gotta get on the plane. He's like, nah, we're cool. He had talked about coming out to a race with us, but it's cool because these fans are able to just come up to us and meet us and interact with us. And it just, is it all worth it? It sure it is.
The approachableness is really great.
Yeah.
So the access to the vehicles, and like I said from the beginning, it's like everybody thinks of those Hot Wheel cars, and it's like, as a little kid, is there anything cooler than that? So you guys are making this fun for people that might not know about it. You're also giving that early education for kids, maybe like you said, STEM, or that just maybe want to learn more about it. Like I would consider myself a huge novice of this. Like, I love vehicles, I appreciate them, but I don't know all the nuts and bolts that go into it. But I think this is a super, super cool thing. We're kind of up against it on time, but I would love to have you back before race season or during race season. I know Joe and I would love to come down and, get some video and some footage. Maybe we could do like a pre-race check-in or something sometime. So maybe at the Norwalk track.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would be kind of cool. So we'll touch base, but give us your social one more time so people maybe can reach out to you guys.
It's at Martino Motorsports.
All right. So we will make sure we put that out on our Youngstown studio page, on our 330 page, but make sure to give Ryan and Martino Motorsports, a follow. Great content, awesome stuff out there. And it's really cool because you don't have to sit through a 4-hour race.
Right.
You only need
to pay attention for 3 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's exciting 3 seconds. So really cool stuff out there. So Ryan, can't thank you enough for going down. Go Penguins.
Yep.
We appreciate all your support of Youngstown in this community and love what you're doing out there. And we're gonna have you back not just for the racing stories. I want some more court stories too. We'll do that in the future. So for Joe Danier in the back, I'm Justin. I want to thank Ryan for coming down. We will get more stories from Ryan going forward in the future. But everyone, enjoy your weekend. And unfortunately, the Browns aren't playing, but it is what it is. But enjoy your weekend. Everybody have a great one. And we will be back next Wednesday live from Penguin City. So we will talk to you then.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. This is original Youngstown content. Feel free to share our videos and tell your friends about us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow